Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Menstrual Cycle Mastery podcast. You are so welcome back. And today I have a very special guest with me. I have Vanessa Martin with me today. Vanessa is a graduate from the Menstrual Coach Academy. She graduated this year in 2025 from the 6 month professional training that I deliver. And yeah, we're going to have a chat about her experience, her background, why and how she came to this work, and we're going to take it from there. So you're very welcome, Vanessa. How are you doing today?
I am pretty good. Excited to be here.
Oh, good. So tell us a little bit about you. Well, firstly, actually, I think the listeners would love to know where you're based. We were just chatting about that, and maybe a little bit about your background and yeah, why this work.
I'm based in Stockholm right now, but I'm originally from Berlin. I just recently moved here actually. And yes, my background is basically in real estate, so something completely different. I worked there for 7+ years, and with that just came a change of something that I wanted to do. And my work now is working as a menstrual cycle coach with a trauma-informed approach.
Well, congratulations. That's a huge change, isn't it, from real estate to menstrual cycle coaching? Yeah.
It
So
really
tell us a little bit about how did you find, not even before we even talk about the course per se, like how did you discover menstrual cycle work itself?
So I would say the like very origin actually came through my husband because in 21 it was, I got my hormonal IUD removed.
Mhm.
And then of course we talked about contraception and he introduced Daisy to me. So he introduced the NFP method, which I never heard of before and no one ever talked to me about before, I guess. And to this day, I'm very grateful that he did show me this. Of course, I didn't know much about it then, but this was kind of the beginning of me tracking my cycle and kind of starting that relationship. And getting deeper into this work came 2 years later. So I was 23, and I had, to be very honest, a lot of stressful moments after or behind me. I switched my jobs in real estate, switching to a different company because we had a new team lead. And I think the psychological stress just had such a big impact on my body. So it's a lot of personal reasons why I do now what I do.
Mm.
And it got that bad that I started to develop like stomach issues, but I couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. I had pretty bad PMS. Like I was on that emotional roller coaster, and my husband was even like he started to be worried about me.
Mm.
That's how bad it got. I had period pain, and even my skin changed. I was to be honest always pretty lucky with my skin, but even
Mhm.
that changed. And for some reason, that was also one of the moments I realized, okay, something is off. Like I need to change something. And then in 23, I took a week of educational leave and I was focused on stress management, which was very much needed that at that moment. And I read my first period related book. It's called
Mm.
Wild Power by Alexandra and Shiny. And that was like the new world that opened up to me. And I don't remember if it was through Red School, like through them, or if it was just like through Googling that I found you and found your podcast, From Pain to Power.
Mm.
And I just listened to the whole thing within like a couple of weeks because I just had it always on when I'm walking, was taking the train, wherever. I just had it on and it just
Mm.
opened my eyes in so many ways, I guess, that I realized how can it be that I know so little about this? And
Mhm.
then I started talking to my friends about it and realized they know so little about this too. And then I realized this cannot be it really. And yeah, this is how I got kind of into this whole topic. And actually, I also worked in 24, was it, with a cycle coach. Because I
Mm.
then thought, okay, I want to learn more about this also. I mean, you can read only so much, but like you have your individual problems and so on. So yeah, I worked with a cycle coach, and that was the moment I realized, okay, I want to do the same thing.
Wow, Vanessa. I actually had never heard your full story before, even though we've like known each other now for like a year. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And well, we've known each other for probably 3 years because we've been hanging out together on your walks.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, okay, I have a couple of questions. Okay, you went through a pretty rough time in work, it sounds like, and a lot of, was it mostly work-related stress that was going on for you? Yeah. It's really common, isn't it, that for that to happen? I hear about it a lot.
I guess so. Yeah, it was. I don't like to use the word burnout because it was
Mhm.
never like diagnosed, but I read a lot about it and I had many symptoms that I think were leading towards it.
Yeah.
It came just from, of course, there's like in general like a lot of like push from this like the C level about making getting like filling your goals and everything. But also the team lead had changed, and with that just came complete chaos, I guess, in the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of like the whole team that was so like in harmony before just broke off completely.
Okay.
Big part of me that I always thought I love real estate, that was my passion,
Hmm.
apart.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That must have been really upsetting at the time and yeah, a lot to navigate through, especially it's almost like when you're in a workplace and you have a strong team, it can really feel like a family. And then for that to implode and you don't have control over, that and yeah, I can imagine that must have been really difficult and scary. And it's your job as well, right? So your income. But at the same time, I'm glad that you found the help that you needed. And it's so interesting hearing that you went down the route of, well, you were getting all these physical somatic symptoms, these physical symptoms from the stress and the difficult experience you went through. So you follow, it sounds like you followed that. You followed the physical route in order to explore kind of your own mind-body connection. Am I hearing that correctly?
100%. Like I
Yeah.
just knew something was off and I didn't feel like myself anymore.
Yeah.
And back then I couldn't pinpoint like where was it coming from or what's the underlying reason for it. Of course, I knew the stress from work like took such an impact for me because like you said, they were my family. I mean, you
Mhm.
spend so much time at work with your colleagues. Like you actually spend more with them than with your friends or partner, to be
Yes.
so yeah, that was very tough and I just realized I had to change something because of course, like the people around you, like they hold that mirror in front of you saying, "Hey, I see you're not doing well." And even if you know it yourself, sometimes, or for just for me, I had to hear it a couple times from my partner, from my friends. Hearing them being worried about me, that was kind of
Mm.
like a wake-up call for
Yeah.
me.
Oh, amazing. Wow. It sounds like you have a wonderful husband and great friends. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard. Especially when you're like back then as well, you were younger and that's your career and you're figuring yourself out and then all that. I also, it's probably a conversation for another day, but I also had a really difficult experience in my one of my well, both workplaces that were my first kind of workplaces that I was in, and it really was one of the triggers to get me into this work actually and mindfulness meditation and the work I do now kind of started with that. So it's interesting how even though at the time it was really difficult, in a way it led you down a path to you finding deeper parts of yourself.
It really was like this. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that for you as well.
Thank you.
Think, the personal experience, even if they're bad, they kind of they shape us in the end. And
Yeah.
look what beautiful thing came out of yours.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make this like bad thing turn into something good, and I think that's why I also do what I do.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, I'm excited now because that reminds me, I had when because I used to work for Google in Dublin years ago, and that was when it was like, that was Dublin is the European headquarters for a lot of the tech firms, as you know, because of well, for various reasons, and Google has their EU headquarters here. So I was working there, and at the time before I discovered all this menstrual cycle work, I that was when I started to read about it, but I was having like really bad periods every single month and I'd have to like call in sick and it was always kept very private and I felt embarrassed, but I did have this like vision. It was funny before I knew about all this work I was going to do, I had this vision that like when I leave Google, I'm going to come back someday and do a talk about this here in the office, which I still have to do.
Your intuition knew that.
Yeah, I still have to do that. But anyway, we'll get on to them soon. That'll be next on the list. Anyway, but you're right. The intuition is like is can be strong, you know. So okay, Vanessa, so you took the courageous decision to tune into yourself and listen to your friends and get vulnerable. And you got a coach and you started to read books about this stuff. So yeah, what happened then? What was your experience like kind of from the coaching and when you started to change your life from the inside out?
I think with the coaching, it was also like she was holding this mirror in front of me again, and it was still like work came up more than I thought looking
Hmm.
back at it. But so I realized, okay, this I have to change. This was also another checklist to realize, okay, I have to change this. But the changes was mainly that I learned so much. And one of my biggest, I would say, journeys is also self-love in general.
Mm.
Because I always had some issues with that. And whenever, or I guess it helped me with that coaching and with reading about it, like understanding myself better and also forgiving myself, like being kind to myself.
Hmm.
Because that was always a thing sometimes I was good at it and sometimes I was really bad at it. And now I'm trying to work more. It's still an ongoing process, to be very honest. But yeah, just like being kind to yourself was one of the biggest things. And being understandable if you cannot push through like men because your cycle is just different. And that is okay.
Yeah, I love that. That's so powerful. And you're 100% right. Like learning to love ourselves and be kind to ourselves doesn't come naturally to me either. And I think it's the same for most people listening to this. We have to learn, it's like a learned, like new sort of brain mechanism, isn't it? To learn how to default to that kind of inner kindness. And it's taken me a long time as well to do that. But that's where the cycle work comes in because I imagine like you got to then look at all the different parts of yourself through the lens of the different seasons of the cycle and do that kind of deeper shadow work as we talk about right in the course and look at the different parts of ourselves that we might not be comfortable with around the cycle. So you got to do all that.
I started doing that a little bit before, but the main work actually was done in the course. Of course, I read those
Okay.
books before that like taught me about the hormones, about all these things, but doing the work actually for me came more through your course.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's jump to that then. So, um, okay, tell us because I know the listeners will be curious. So you then decided you wanted to do this work professionally and you started to look for a course. So why did you pick this course?
I picked this course because like maybe it was because of your podcast before. Like I knew your voice, I knew how you were speaking, and I felt very calm with you all the time. And I did some research on different courses as well, but for some reason yours, like the way you were also selling your course just resonated with me so much more,
Mm.
especially because you also focused on a lot of nervous system work.
Hmm.
Because of course I heard about the nervous system, but I never given it much thought, to be very honest, before. But hearing you speak about it and that kind of triggered something in me that I want to learn more about it. Because I
Mm.
knew I was stressed. I mean, I took that educational leave and I focused on stress management. So I knew that was an issue, but I didn't know how much it was actually influencing me.
Yeah.
So that was something that inspired me a lot,
Wow.
just to, yeah, work with you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you did. Yeah, I'm
Thank
glad you
you.
did. It sounded like a very intuitive decision that you
It
felt
was.
something. It was more like a body feeling than a head decision. Well, you did your research, but it was very much like you felt guided. Yeah.
And I took some time to like decide because the other course that I could have taken would have started in June, like it would have
Mm.
started before. But yeah, something maybe was my intuition saying that's not the right time to start as
Mm.
well. Because I was also getting married in July that year, so maybe it would have been too much, or yeah, it just felt more amazing to work with you. Plus, we were in the same, almost same time zone, and that was very important for me because I wanted to be part of the calls. I didn't want to listen to the recordings and not like ask my questions that I have maybe.
Got you. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, Vanessa. Wow. So, okay, tell us then about, because I know the listeners are now eager to hear this question. So, look, what was your experience of the course and like what was that inner journey you went on?
I think my overall experience, if I would put it into words, I felt very comfortable and safe. And that
Mm.
was very amazing for me. Like even with the exercise that you started each training with, like the somatic tracking, things like this, I've never done before. I did meditation before and all those things, but yeah, tracking your nervous system in that very moment, that were things that inspired me.
Mm,
And what I still have this in mind, very present, that you ask us, like, I think halfway through, how are we feeling with our process? Like, what we think we have learned. And a lot of women shared, yeah, it doesn't feel like the normal learning, I guess. And it wasn't like this. But then we realized, or I realized as well, I had to go through this process and actually embody things and not just like, I don't know, study them for an exam where you start to study a couple of days before and then you try to remember as much as possible. But you actually had to embody them. And that was, I think, my aha moment that this is how you can study. And also, it was very interesting because at the same time, I did some other studies on like holistic women's health. But that was more from like the medical perspective, of course, in a holistic way, but it was a different type of course. And your work helped me so much. Like I already coach women, and it helped me so much to work with them
mm,
because I have shifted so many beliefs that I had before about coaching, about working with people. And it gave me a new perspective. Also to have this like trauma-informed perspective, because even if that person hasn't experienced trauma, but it's a different way of how I interact with people now, even in my private life. So
wow.
yeah, that was that was actually like the main takeaways, I would say.
Wow. Well, you definitely deserve that certificate because you did the work then.
Thank you.
I'm like listening because I'm like, I know what she's talking about. So I'm going to dig a little deeper in a second. But I'm like, yeah, like it sounds like you really went to your edges of, like you said, the beliefs and mindsets we all have about what it is to be a coach, and how to be with people and how to learn as well. So would you maybe have like a practical example to so the listeners can kind of get it? Because it's hard to understand what you're talking about unless you've been through it. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, like how would you have maybe thought about coaching before? Or how would you have shown up before? Or how did you think you should have been before versus how are you now with your clients?
I think for me, like coaching, it was kind of also a new field, like the menstrual coach that I worked with before. That was my first coaching I ever did. And I guess it was my belief that, okay, this coach is there to help me and she will tell me basically how to be better or how to get better. But of course, she can only teach me so much. So switching that belief from she's there to help me versus now what I think about it is we can find a solution together.
Hmm.
That was one of the biggest things because if you would be my client, I could tell you, you have to do this, like give you like a long list, but that wouldn't help you because then it's another to do that you have to do to feel better. But if we actually have an open conversation about it, saying, hey, what do you need? And then I will be there, hold your hand and guide you through it.
Hmm.
This was one of the biggest changes, I guess.
Hmm.
Because whenever someone comes to me with a problem, I think I have this from my mom. I'm very solution orientated. So
Me too.
she always like comes up with a solution or tries to like brainstorm. And I think I embody that too, or I believe that's how I should be. But sometimes maybe that person doesn't want my opinion. Maybe she just wants to tell me about what happened. So I guess switching those beliefs and actually focusing on the client, like what that person needs instead of what I want to give that person in the moment.
Mm, wow, Vanessa, that's so powerful. I love that example of your mom. My mom's the same and I'm the same, and I had to I have to be really careful in my personal life. In my work, it's fine, but if I'm talking to a friend, I have to really think about do they want me to listen or do they want advice? And sometimes I ask them like, do you want me to listen or do you want me to give you an opinion or what?
As simple as I just asked, so what
Yeah.
are you doing right now? And then it's funny because then you see that person being irritated at first. Then they think about it, it's like, oh, actually, I just want to listen.
I know. It is good to ask, isn't it? Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, so that's so powerful. So, what I'm hearing you talk about, really, the word that's coming to mind is you built a lot of, you built your presence muscle. You presence is the word that's coming to mind. You're able to really be present with your client. as opposed to absorb their fear and urgency, and you're able to sit in the discomfort with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like I guess to hold the space and
Mhm.
also while doing that, like focus on me. Like that's
Yeah.
also a thing we learned, like track your own nervous system when you are with a client, because coming back to this, I want to help people. So I'm always there for you. If you call me at 3 a.m., I will come to you and help you. But back then, I didn't actually think about what this was doing to me. So having this in mind helps me a lot, like to be present also in my private life.
Mm.
It's really funny. We talked a lot about the freeze mode and fight or flight mode. And of course, when you taught about it, I knew, yeah, fight or flight, I know the stress, I understood it. But it was actually like a month ago or so that I was in this freeze mode again. It was just before a move. We've just come back from traveling. So it was a lot was going on. And I was in that freeze mode. And that was the first time I actively realized it. Ah, this is what the freeze mode is. Like I could pinpoint it in that very moment, I could put words to it. So I guess I'm still learning because it's
Hmm.
a process. But yeah, so I'm still taking that with me.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm still a student, forever a student, Vanessa. I think that's what makes a great coach, though, is someone who is still really self-reflecting and curious and is never in the like, oh, I have it figured out kind of thinking, you know. So that's what I would encourage all of us to keep doing. But it is helpful, isn't it, when you can pinpoint it, because then you know you have options, because it's so easy to get lost in like most of us. I think I lived years in freeze mode. Do you know? So now it's like I know what that feels like too. It also comes up for me when I'm moving house. And then I know how to resource myself a bit more.
Mhm. And the
Um,
more you know when it shows up or how it shows up, the better you can like help yourself to get out of it.
exactly.
Easier it gets over time. So
Yeah. Do you know something? The last time I moved house, because I'm really proud of this, so I'm going to share. I paid a moving company to pack up my whole house up and move everything. I didn't move. I didn't move. I paid other people to do it for me. And it was like, it wasn't cheap, but I could afford it. But it was like the best money I ever spent.
sounds worth it, to be
Yeah,
very
it was so good. It was like a team. I remember it was like a team of men in my apartment packing up because I was moving furniture as well. And like they even packed my clothes and
that's
just put
amazing.
yeah. And they came very highly recommended. So they didn't break anything and they wrapped everything up really carefully. But I remember thinking like, this is self-care. Like maybe I'll just not go on the next trip or something or whatever. I'm moving house, but I find moving really stressful because it goes back to my childhood of being moved against my will several times. So it brings up all that, like all those emotions. So yeah, so anyway, that aside, what I'm hearing is just like your awareness is so strong now and you're able to pinpoint it and you're tracking your nervous system even when you're sitting with a client. So tell us why, or maybe you and I can talk about this together. Like, why is that important to do that, what you said, like to be with your client as opposed to fixing them and to track your system?
I guess it's also what I learned in the course because I'm like when it comes to, I guess, power dynamics, that has been a very big thing for me because I don't want to be that person that teaches you something. I want to be that person that works with you. And for at least for myself, by tracking my nervous system or by tracking how I act, and also I reflect after every session and just write down how I felt.
Mm,
It's very important for me because then I can, if like maybe power dynamic came up where I was in that superior moment and that I try to avoid it afterwards. Yes,
mm,
that's one of the like a thing. And in the end, the work that we do, it's a lot of emotional work.
mhm,
People come to us or come to me in that moment, like with different types. I have a client now and has like a similar situation with work. She's very stressed about it, and I can see her going through the same things I went to.
mm.
And this opens up a lot of old wounds for me as well because I can see the pain in her because I experienced it.
Yeah.
So by being aware of this and actually like taking time for me afterwards, also before I like to have like a 5 minutes before just be present and kind of calm down, do some
Hmm.
breath work. I can help her, I guess, be more stable instead
Hmm.
of trying to fix her.
Yes. Yeah. And what does that do for her?
she told me we actually just finished our coaching journey. I had my last session with her yesterday, and she told me that she knows a lot of those things, but it's good to hear them from me again. Like to get this
Yeah.
mirror in front of you again to see, okay, someone else from the outside is seeing the same thing.
Yes.
And she felt very comfortable the whole time. Like she opened up a lot and she was surprised herself that we talked a lot about work so much, even if this was cyclical coaching, basically. But we kind of combined it. So for her, it was very helpful because she could open up and also go through this process, thinking, okay, what are my next steps? What can I do?
Wow. So, okay, this is incredible. So have you had a few clients since you've graduated from the program or
I have a couple. I have like a handful right now that I work.
handful? But that's amazing. Yeah. So handful and you've just finished up one. That's incredible. So huge congrats. And you've only just graduated like a couple of months ago. So that's amazing. And you're building your business and you're building your practice. And what I'm hearing from what you've taken from the course is that your coaching skills are really strong. And it's allowed you to go into the world of like the experiences you've had, like workplace stressors and maybe a bit of burnout, but bring this cyclical lens. And that's what I actually love about this work is you can apply it to different like areas of someone's life. I love coaching people on relationships. That's kind of one of my one of my favorite topics. But bringing that cyclical lens and the nervous system lens into the work is great because it brings in that somatic body-based awareness. And what I'm hearing as well is that your client, instead of feeling like you're telling her what to do or she's like failing in your coaching because she's not like keeping up or whatever, you're in that sort of like shared power with her and coaching using the tools and the techniques you learned in the academy. And she now feels like she's in her own, like she's empowered to make her own decisions for herself. Like she's access to her leadership, is what I'm hearing
I think
for
it's a
her life.
process still for her. We've definitely taken like a lot of big steps and she knows what she has to do now. I always told her like she can reach out to me, of course, if she has like still struggles with it. But she knows how to tune into herself a bit more.
Amazing. Yeah.
Listen to herself. I was very proud of her. Because she experienced a lot of period pain as well.
Hmm.
And the other day, she just canceled meeting a friend because she was on day 3, and that was a big step for her because she never did that, because she's like, oh no, but we had a date. I don't want to cancel it, and she took that step for her, or
Mm.
she like wrote like she took a sick day because of her period, and that's also a big thing. So like I see those things happening with her. And for her, it seems small, but I just told her if like those things happen, she should write me so I can cheer for her. Because
Amazing. You're celebrating.
every step is so important, and even if it seems small, it can change, like it triggers something.
Yeah. Oh my God, totally, Vanessa. I love it. It's so important. That's something as well we talk about, like the importance of celebrating our progress and our wins, right? And it's like for someone to take a sick day with their cycle and they've never done that before or cancel a plan. Not that that's the way we have to live our cycle forever, but that's kind of the first step towards exploring our self-care and our needs. Like I used to do that a lot and now I don't really anymore because I don't need to, but it is the first kind of way to get in touch, isn't it? So that's amazing that you're able to celebrate that with her. And I think as well, like what I'm also curious about is kind of from the business perspective too. How has that been for you? Because you have a handful of clients. How did you find your clients so soon after the program? Have you been marketing? Have you been networking? I think people would love to hear about that too.
Basically, right now it's in my network that I have, from friends to friends of friends. And just as an info, not only do one-on-one coaching, but I also am starting to do corporate workshops because I
Ah,
corporate world and I know how tough it is.
yeah,
And because of my old job as a real estate agent, looking for office spaces with companies, I have this network as well.
yeah.
So I already have my first workshop planned in October in Berlin, which I'm very excited about.
Oh,
Maybe second one, I find out next week. So yeah, I'm just reaching out through my old network right now. I did my first masterclass on Tuesday.
congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, just slowly, I guess, reaching out to people, sharing what I do, and like getting people into my orbit or inviting them into my orbit. That's also a thing I learned because, of course, people know me as maybe a friend or we've met years ago through school, through whatever. but I'm trying to be very present now and showing them what I do now.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just started to have conversations with people on LinkedIn or Instagram, like not even trying to sell them, but just asking them cycle related questions,
Yes.
speaking about it. And you'd be surprised how many people open up to me like completely. It's amazing to see. And that kind of also breaks down this fear of me for like selling something.
Yeah.
They're getting to know people.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so powerful. One of the word, another word that's coming to mind I'm hearing is connection. You're prioritizing connection over sales. You're trusting that your business will flow in time, but you're prioritizing just connecting with people.
100%. I trust in that it will flow, it will be good,
Yeah.
because I am so convinced that it has helped me so much, it can help so many others.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trusting in that.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. I'm so impressed with you because you have been very like you've done a lot of your own inner work. Then you came on the course and learned the skills we learned on the course, and then you've been very proactive as well in growing your business. And I think a lot of people kind of they ask me like, "Oh, will this help me get clients this course?" And I'm like, "Well, you have to do the work, you know. You can't like with any course, you can't just like go to college or any do any course and expect like just suddenly for someone to just, you know, give you money. You do have to be proactive, but I guess the like have the skills that you've learned on the course helped you with the business side too.
It did it at least for like the how I market myself. That was
Mhm.
like the base or the foundation I learned, because what I learned with you is also I have to show people how I work, and I have this has to be present in my marketing. And
Mhm.
yeah, like I said, I agree with you. I am also working with another business coach right now. I'm reading books about growing your business, all these things. So I'm still doing all the work to like add more it, because in the end, I believe that sales is still a very big part of it.
Yeah.
But I learned from partly also from you to sales doesn't have to be hard, I guess,
No.
or it doesn't have to be forced. Maybe
Mm.
that's a better word, you know? It's you're just showing up and showing them what you do.
Yeah, that's exactly like it's not necessarily easy and it can be quite daunting and intimidating for people. But yeah, the way I see it is, and this is what I teach you guys in the course is marketing is talking to people and sales is telling people you can help them.
Hmm.
You know, and in this line of work in menstrual cycle work, trauma informed menstrual cycle work, we have to be careful because some of the business courses out there might teach us that we have to like create urgency and like put pressure on our clients, etc. And it doesn't really I understand why they're teaching that, but at the same time it doesn't align for this work. Whereas I love what you're doing, which is like creating safety, creating connection, having conversation, building trust instead.
To be honest, I have this feeling this like having to be pushy kind of comes from a very masculine point of view. And what I'm learning now, like to have the feminine energy as well to use that. And feminine energy to me is connection, is caring, all those things that is kind of part of the work that we do. So why not approach it's called my sales approach. Why
Mm.
not lead this with feminine energy?
I love that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's so part. And that's what the way I approach my own marketing is it goes back to polyvagal theory. What we talk about in the course is like if I'm connected to myself and grounded and like with myself and in anchored in ventral vagal, and if I'm speaking from that place, then like you said at the start, people will feel calm when they're listening to me. And it's a good question to ask ourselves is like, how do you want your clients to feel, or your future clients, like how do you want your audience, the people who follow you, to feel when they're
Exactly.
listening to your stuff? Because like I actually wrote a marketing email yesterday to my list and it was like the work starts before people even pay you,
It really
right?
does.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, yeah, my husband is in sales as well, or is in sales.
Nice.
And we talk about this a lot. And now that I kind of can separate this, I see his masculine drive, I guess.
Yeah.
I had to accept for myself that this is not my way. And I
Mm.
think he is still convinced that maybe his way is the way, but that works for him. And that's totally fine. I'm happy for it. But yeah, I just learned this is not my way. And this is not how I want to do it as well.
Yeah, and it doesn't align. It doesn't necessarily like if you were selling something else, maybe, but you are
Exactly.
selling. work that is like people really need to feel safe with this, So it's very important. Yeah. That's so funny that he said that. My dad said to me a while ago, he was like, you're very good at sales. I was like, well, just like I connect with people and I want to help people. And, he was like surprised. I was like, well, I run a business, so I have to figure it out. But it has been a bit of a journey. But that's another area that I'm really passionate about is how we do trauma-informed sales and marketing, how, the way like I'm the same, I'm always reading, doing other courses and reading books and getting help from different like non-menstrual cycle related areas. And it's just like, how do we integrate that into this work? And it sounds like you're doing an incredible job of like really building your own practice, building your own body of work, attracting the right clients, getting yourself not even yourself, but like getting your work out there, getting your services out there, connecting with companies. Um, is there anything else in the course that because you talked as well about your own personal journey as well, like, and how are you doing now yourself personally with your cycle and anything else you want to talk about in relation to the course?
I think because I did finish the course when I was traveling. Um,
Hmm.
as you know, I was living in a van for 4 months with
I
my husband.
know.
It wasn't easy, I would say, but it has helped me a lot as well because, of course, when you travel, you don't have your routines, you have different foods. It was an English-speaking country, so at least there wasn't such a language barrier, but still, you don't have that safe space kind of, or that safe space is a van where you don't have the opportunity to just go into the other room, be by yourself. So I guess during those travels or during that travel, I learned a lot how to still take this time for me, kind of
Mm.
take those 5 minutes to journal, to track my cycle, or if I needed time for myself and it was sunny, I just told my husband, you go out, I stay inside, or we just switch it up. So we kind of still made this work. And I think what I learned is, I think what I said earlier as well, just how I speak to people and how I interact with them, but also how I speak to myself.
Mm. Mm.
One thing I'm
Beautiful.
taking out of it as well.
Yeah. Wow, that's so beautiful, Vanessa. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
For
Oh,
teaching.
what?
Thank you for teaching it.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah. No, it was a pleasure having you. Vanessa was very diligent and you always figured out a way to show up and you were so vulnerable too because in the course maybe we can talk about that like the practical stuff, but so in the course we have the lecture days on Saturdays and then you join the process group, and in the process group we do a lot of coaching practice, and you were always so vulnerable with bringing topics to the table to be worked through, and I try and encourage my students to bring like real stuff to the table because then we can really kind of work with emotions and work with the nervous system and practice our coaching skills. So I really appreciated that you did that. But yeah, you might maybe share a little bit about how you experienced the kind of the structure of the program and the practical element of the course as well and how that worked for you.
It worked pretty well for me, to be honest.
Mm.
I loved the lecture days. It was always 4 or 5 hours, I think.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and it's at first it sounded long, but for some reason, once I blocked it in my calendar, I'm a very calendar orientated person. So once it's there, it's fixed. Like there's no conversation about changing it. So that was always okay for me. And even with like that long period of time, you still made it very comfortable. Like we always had little breaks in between. We didn't have to, like, there was no forcing to turn the camera on. I could do it in bed if I was not feeling like it and just leave my camera off. So it was always a very safe place, I guess. And it wasn't rushed. Like I also loved, even if you had your plan, of course, what you wanted to teach us that day, if something else came up, then we focused more on this. And I
Mm.
love this because that's what the group is for. If someone has an like a topic they bring to the table, I loved how you also accepted this and gave us the room to speak about it.
Mm. Mm.
So that was very valuable for me. And the group sessions have been amazing. I remember I was always a bit scared to be the coach part, like play the coach part. I never wanted to do that because I was always worried, what if I say the wrong thing? And then I had such inspiring women in there, and I felt like they always knew what to say. And it was so amazing to just also hear how they would do it. So
Mm.
that was helpful for me to be in the safe space with others learning the same and seeing, first of all, how they do it. And then I could find my way in it, I guess.
Hmm.
I'm a very practical person, so I always have to experience something and then I feel like I can do it better.
Mm,
And
in
just
your own
reading
way.
an example, yeah.
Yeah,
So that was amazing, and it always feel very safe to bring up topics.
good. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. Yeah, because it is like in the program, you're right, we are learning information. And actually, going back to what you said about people bringing in topics, I'm glad you said that because you're right. I tried to not go too much off track, but at the same time, I'm working with a group, and it's the same if I was working with a client. Like, I want to sort of see what's true for them in that moment. So, and in the program, sometimes people bring things up that they know more about than I do. And so I want to really shine a light on that and give that time and energy to be heard and be witnessed, you know. So the way I coach is that I try to not like force the teaching or control the outcome or the agenda. Like of course I have a structure and a plan because I think that's important, but I try to remove any kind of control out of it. And then it creates for a bit more mystery and a bit more unfolding and a bit more of an emergent process as well, which is how I want to work with my clients too. It's a more feminine way, I think, isn't it?
I think so too, but that's what makes it so special as well. And
Mm-hmm.
coming back to those power dynamics, you have someone, for example, in that group who knows more about this one topic. Amazing. We can learn from that person too. So I think this is so special that you then give that person the opportunity to share because like you said, we never stop learning.
No. Yeah.
I love that. And even I remember you even did an extra session for us after the course because we didn't finish with some things. And that just shows how much you want us to learn this.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. I mean, I had to stream in from like Australia with different time zone back then, but it was
Remember.
amazing for me that you took the extra time to do that because you wanted to share this.
Yeah, I think we did was it business and marketing
Yeah.
class? Yeah, 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 yeah. That was actually fun. That was a fun extra bonus class. Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And yeah, and you're right, the practice coaching, like in the process groups, it can be a bit daunting. But I suppose like, this is the reason why I created the academy in the first place. Because when I started coaching, when there were like no schools out there, I was like, there is no place to learn this stuff. And I remember like I had all the information and I knew I wanted to work with women one to one in this capacity, but I was like, I don't know how to coach. Like I don't know how to like bring it into the relationship with someone and how do I draw it out and what questions do I ask and what am I supposed to be thinking about when I'm sitting opposite somebody, So that's really the focus of the academy is to help you to get confident at like how to coach in this work because so we can read all the books and listen to all the things and do all the courses, but when you can really sit with someone and know how to ask the right questions and where to lead the client, etc., or how to follow the client and what areas to explore. For me, at least, I feel so much more confident as a coach when I'm confident in those skills. And now, like with my own experience, and probably you're working on this too, and you're probably there already. You can do a little bit of prep for your client, but you can just show up and like be open to what they're going to share without being afraid of what's going to happen in the session.
Yeah, really, that's how I feel. I mean, I'm with like every new client, you never know what's coming, of course. So it's always exciting, still for me at least. The more I coach, the more I speak about people with people, of course, the more confident I feel and just being calm, I guess. And that's
Mm.
my biggest part for me to just be calm.
Oh, Vanessa, that's so beautiful because your clients now feel safe to share whatever they need to share with you because it's like people bring up big stuff in this space, right?
They really do.
Yeah.
I feel like I've always been the person people came to when they had an issue. I think even
Mm.
as a teenager, people opened up to me a lot, and I never knew why. But I guess now, with like all those years of experience, without even knowing I was learning something about it,
Yeah.
it's actually helped me to be present with them.
Yeah, beautiful. And now you know like now you have language and understanding of what you already were doing.
Hmm.
So it's affirming and you're not doing it wrong by just listening and yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. What else did I want to ask you before we head off? I suppose like what would you say to somebody who is sitting on the fence, maybe considering taking the course or not?
I would say even if that person doesn't want to work in this field, I would still do it because I can speak for myself, but I had such an a change of heart in so many things. And I think my life has changed in so many ways that during this work, now that I love it and I'm happy about it, but it helped me in a lot of personal matters as well. So I think it's very valuable just to learn about your own body, how to actually read the symptoms your body is telling you, because it cannot tell you something if something's off, right? It has to show you with signals. So learning how to tune into that and giving yourself time to also do this and time for change, that is a very, very important thing. And I think you can learn that in the course.
Amazing. Thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, you're right. So a lot of people come actually for personal reasons, which I didn't expect, but because of the depth we go to, a lot of women do experience a lot of relief with their symptoms around their own cycle or stuff they're going through. And that's the beautiful thing about this work is if you are wanting to coach, the way I teach is that I really require my students to do their own inner process work. And so whether you work with clients or not, or even not, like there's a lot of people who come on who are not necessarily wanting to coach because maybe they don't know yet what they want to do, or they're doing it for personal reasons, or it's something completely different. Like I had one student the year before you who is a vocal coach and works with singers, and I've had people who are like psychotherapists or physiotherapists or school teachers, completely different backgrounds. And that's so fun because you have a whole mixture of all these people from different backgrounds. And actually, Celestina, who was in your process group, is a matchmaking coach.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Amazing, though.
Yeah, yeah. So like working with like relationships and stuff, So anyway, so yeah, so you're very welcome to come on. And if anyone has any questions about the program, you can send me an email. But otherwise, where can people find you and your work, Vanessa?
Right now, I am on Instagram and LinkedIn. Um,
Super.
and I'm building my website right now. It's in the process. I'm hoping it will be ready in like a month or so.
Nice.
That's that's planned with the future, but right now, Instagram and LinkedIn.
Instagram and LinkedIn. I'll make sure to link that below. And is there any particular area you're working with? Are you working just with people who want to learn about cycle coaching, or are you specializing in workplace stuff, or what are you, what
I
are you?
guess anybody who wants to learn about the cycle, I'm also happy to work. Like I have a client right now, she wants to get pregnant. I'm working with her on it.
Oh,
But I think because I come from this corporate world, I have a couple people that could kind of fall into this place as well.
yeah.
Very open. I like to do clarity call before that we like have half an hour to speak about it. And I also want then the client to give the chance if they want to decide if they want to work with me.
Yeah.
Because it has to fit on both sides.
Yeah.
So we can do that clarity call, do that for free. And then afterwards we can think about it. Is it a match for both of us? And then we can find out.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Vanessa. It was so fun to chat with you today, and hopefully I'll have you back again soon. Oh, I did actually have one last question for you, which
Go
is
ahead.
like, this is a selfish question. Well, it's not selfish, but I was thinking I'd ask you because you'd listened to the podcast when I was from Pain to Power. I was like, well, what do you think about my name change? Do you approve of that? Because I changed it to Menstrual Cycle Mastery.
Uh, it feels like a different era right now.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm neutral to it. Um,
Okay.
Change of
Interesting.
power was because it sounded very personal because I think you explained that in one of your episodes as well, because it was your way from your pain to like be
Mm.
powerful in it. And that was a very personal touch to it that, for example, back then helped me a lot. And I think now it's kind of stepping into this new area and mastering like menstrual cycle awareness. So I think I'm neutral, but I like it.
I love that. Thank you. No, I was curious. I was like, because I've asked a few people, I was like, I didn't realize I could ask Vanessa. Yeah, no, I changed it because I realized that in my own personal journey of working with pain, it comes back to mastering these mind body skills that I teach. And even like I shared with you before we hit record, I actually had a painful period this week for the first time in like a year, but through some brain work I did that I teach in the course, my pain went from lasting for like it used to last like a few hours and it only lasted like an hour. And I was able to bring it down through doing it's hard to explain, but these internal like skills where I'm really looking for, instead of focusing on pain, I'm looking for other sensations in my body. And that's why I decided to call it menstrual cycle mastery, because it's these like somatic body-based pain science skills that I'm really wanting to teach people. And yeah, you become a master at that. So,
Now that you explain it, I love it.
oh, thank you. I've sold it.
You did. No, but really, it's beautiful what you said.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was just and even after that experience yesterday, I was like, wow, I'm really good at this. Like, and I want that for my clients and for you to. It's not about like getting rid of pain forever and like making it not ever happen because we can't control that, right? So it's about because I like to take that like mindfulness approach, like one cycle at a time, 1 month at a time. And who knows what will happen if you have pain or no pain, but like, what do we do within ourselves when we have pain? And for me, the thing that works the most is doing the thought work and the somatic work. Yeah, which again, it's hard to understand until I teach that. But yeah, that's what I'm teaching more and more these days is that stuff. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
For sure. It reminds me of a thing. I'm reading a sales book right now, and he speaks about limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
And one of them, like how to reframe it to a positive belief, is change what you can change. Because
Yes.
don't, like you said, pain will come, pain will go, but change what is in your hands, basically.
Yeah.
It
Totally.
reminded me
Like,
of that.
yeah, I could have been like, ah, feck it. Like I've had another painful period. I clearly don't know what I'm doing. My life is a disaster. Like my endometriosis is back and just gone down that like spiral of thoughts, right? But instead, what I did was I did the mind body exercise, then the pain came down. And afterwards, I was able to say, God, I really did a great job at looking after myself today. And my pain, like I had progress. My pain didn't last 4 hours, it lasted an hour. And even though it was really sore, I was able to be with it and bring it down. And I was able to then celebrate that, which
I was about to say,
that's the
celebrate
work.
that
Yeah, right. That's the work instead of going down the spiral of who like I'm a failure.
100%.
Yeah. Anyway, Vanessa, yeah, thank you for your opinion on that and hearing my little story there. So I appreciate it. But I'm gonna let you go, but I could talk to you for hours. Thank you so much for coming on and yeah, I'm looking forward to having you back and hearing more about your journey with companies and clients and business and your cycle. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks everyone. And I will see you very soon on the podcast and I'll talk to you soon. Take good care. Bye. Thanks for joining me on the Menstrual Cycle Mastery podcast. If you'd like to begin this work with me, I run the Menstrual Mastery Collective, a monthly membership where you can dive deep into this work live alongside me and a supportive community. I'm also the founder of the Menstrual Coach Academy, a professional training space for trauma-informed coaching and facilitation. Head on over to the links in the bio to sign up for courses, programs, and grab any resources available. I'm so glad you're here.